Hello, this is Giustano, or Irregular, and if you didn't already get the impression that I'm a massive fucking loser, here's the confirmation by doing a Dream Theater tier list. They're releasing a new album on the 22nd of this month, A View from the Top of the World, and because of that, I wanted to kind of go over their whole discography and see how my massive monkey brain ranks them all together. There's no real script to any of this. This is kind of my thoughts. So we're gonna start kind of going up through their discography, like from the first to most recent. So from When Dream and Day and Night to Distance Over Time. Let's begin, boys. Okay. This is like an obvious like D tier, right? This is their first one, the only one without James LeBrie on vocals, and it suffers very hard from like shitty production. First off, Terry Date. I have no idea if I'm getting that name right. I think is the one who mixed and produced the album, or at least produced the album. Um, doesn't really do it. Doesn't really do it well. It sounds more like production for like a pop album rather than like a proggy metal. And it isn't really prog metal like When Dream and Day and Night. This is more like mid '80s Rush is what this album reminds me of. And also, I mean, I like Charlie Damichi's vocals. I hope that's how you pronounce his last name. They are not for Dream Theater. They do not fit this band at all. And so this is a definite D tier for their first album. Um and then next up, of course, their second album is a complete, fucking monolith that is Images and Words. Um I have a very complicated like history with this album because this is the first that I ever listened like of Dream Theater. This is their first album that I gave a go. And my only real experience with like progressive stuff before this was like Yes. So it was very hard because this is like Yes is like level 1 of a video game because everything's like still melodic. And then this is like jump into the fucking final boss. There's some crazy shit on this album, like the extended instrumental break in like Metropolis Part 1 is like I would call that the only viscerally overwhelming section in any song that I've ever heard in my life. Even Dance of Eternity doesn't have shit on that. That like that is like general motifs that ties that whole thing together. This just Metropolis Part 1 just goes fucking bonkers, dude. Oh man. Well, I guess that's the point. And I mean with Dance of Eternity it's also the point that it goes entirely bonkers. I mean it has a fucking ragtime section. That's kind of why I love it. Anyways, production on this album could could be better. The drums really fucking suffer. Like they do. Oh man. I mean, I heard that like the band members, especially Portnoy, got into like almost physical beef with the producer because the producer just fucking sucked. I don't remember his name, but he was like a real piece of shit and just did not let the band do what they wanted to do. I think a change of seasons back when it was only 16 minutes long was supposed to be on this album. Uh, but it got cut because again the producer's a huge fucking dick. Oh, whatever, man. I mean, where I'd rank this album, I mean, I could write that down. You could give me like 7 days from now. Tell us what tier you think Images and Words belong in, and I still it'd be hard to like formulate it even after like 7 days of thought, because there's so much going for this album, but there's also a lot I don't like. Because again, the production it feels like very 90s production, but at the same time I feel like some of the flaws kind of add to the overall feeling of the album. Like I wouldn't have shit like Learning to Live any other way, Part 1. I mean, at the end, I was sitting on this for a bit. I think I have like the perfect tier in my mind for this. It's got to go A. I mean, even considering all the flaws, this is still like their most like iconic album, right? Like when someone's going to think of Dream Theater, like even like the most casual fan is going to think of probably Images and Words as Like there's no album that's more Dream Theater than this, you know? And of course, it is followed by Awake. I fucking love Awake. This easiest S tier of my life, dude. Awake is such a good album. The production is like they got I think actual metal producers for this album, and it shows. It's so much darker. It's so much more raw and genuine. And I mean, it's also got Space Divest. You can't go wrong with an album with Space Divest. It also has Lie. I really like Lie. Though I guess that's one of their more poppy. Is it poppy? One of the more poppy singles. If it was a single, I'm not even sure. I mean, Caught in a Web, Innocence Faded, fucking legend. The Mirror is like a big. That's a big one because you know that's the precursor to the 12-step suite. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that, my friends. We've only scratched the surface. But yeah, no, Awake, fucking wonderful album. If you all Scarred, how the fuck am I forgetting Scarred? That's like the best song. Shit. No, if you haven't, if there's any album to start with Dream Theater, actually, I'm not sure. Actually, I think a better album to start with would be Octavarium, but I mean, still, this is you can't go wrong with Awake. This album fucking incredible. I love it. And this one isn't on the list because I get because it's an EP, so I guess it doesn't exactly count as like an album. But I mean, if a Change of Seasons was on here, it would also be an S. You know, that's their close to the edge moment. Even though to be fair, they've had a lot of those. And also that's one where Derek Sherry, last name I can't pronounce. We'll call him Derek. Joins the band, replacing Kevin Moore on keyboards after he leaves after Awakening. Awakening, what the fuck? After Awaken, which is very sad. But also it leads into having Jordan Rudess on who Jordan Rudess, who ends up joining the band, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That guy is a Greek keyboard god. Anyways, Falling into Infinity, that's a C tier. Got some songs I really like. Lines in the Sand, Trial of Tears. Everything else, very overproduced, very not genuine, and like none of it's the band's fault. They have got again horrible producers. This is the worst like production wise that an album has ever been. Have you heard some of the fucking stories of like they had to cut most of the songs that they actually wanted on the album, including a 20-minute version of Metropolis Part 2. Well, we'll get to you, my friend. We'll get to you. Which is very unfortunate. They actually wrote multiple songs on the album. I think what is it? Burning My Soul is one of them about like the horrible production. And it's very unfortunate because if they were just allowed to do what they wanted to do, then this would be a fucking amazing album. This would definitely be an S tier, but they just weren't, man. It's very fucking unfortunate. There's also going to be a song, Raise the Knife, about Kevin Moore's departure. That honestly, I'm kind of glad it was left off, at least in its original form, because it is fucking brutal, dude. I mean, it did get released later on because Mike Portnoy is a bit of a god with fucking Yitzy Jam Records and kind of releasing demos and like cut versions of songs. He's a beautiful man, but we all know that. Okay, next album. Gee, I wonder where this one's gonna go. Fuck, like, come on, man. Where else am I putting fucking scenes from a memory? You know, you know, this album, sequel to Metropolis Part 1 off of Images and Words, one of the best concept albums ever. It takes a story and goes fucking wild with it, you get into the mind. It does like an incredible job of getting you in the mind of Nicholas, trying to like solve the mystery of what's happening with Victoria. Like who's Julian, who's Edward, what the fuck's going on here, man? What really happened on the night of that fatal tragedy? Ooh. And helping this story is some of their best fucking songs to date. Home is just home, you know. Fatal Tragedy, Beyond This Life, Finally Free, Dance of Eternity. The Spirit Carries On being one of the only ballads that I like from Dream Theater. You know, fuck, you have to love that shit. You can't not love this album. I mean, maybe if you don't like, you, if you want it to be like super raw and like genuine, which automatically this can't really be because it's, telling a fictional story. That's the whole point. Then I guess if you're, I guess what I'm saying is if you're not that big into concept albums, I can see why you're not a fan. But like, come on, it's so fucking good. I could suck this album off for years. And then next, of course, the other another album going into S tier. Whoa, you're gonna see. We're not done with those, man. Trust me, we are not done with those. Um, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. I love. If you wanted like a more genuine album after this, after Scenes from Memory, here you go. This has one of my favorite concepts for an album ever. The first side is just like miscellaneous Dream Theater songs. The Glass Prison starts off the 12-step suite, which is like 5 of the best songs that they've done. You know, I'll talk in more. I'll talk in more detail about that when we get to like each respective one. The first song in the suite kind of focuses like, okay, I have a problem. Let's go to Alcoholics and like AA, or this Temple of Hope as it's called in the song. I mean, it's a very Pantera like groove metal inspired track. It is like consistently heavy throughout all 13 minutes. I fucking love The Glass Prison. It's one of my top 5 songs from the band. There's the Great Debate, there's Disappear, there's Blind Faith. Fucking great songs. But of course, the highlight of 6 Degrees is what's going to be what takes up an entire second disc is, of course, the title track 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which is a 42-minute song. If that's right, motherfucking 42 minutes long, split into like 7 or 8 sections, each of which having to do with a different mental illness, and it's handled very well, very tastefully, and just sounds fucking awesome. Like, there's War Inside My Head, which is PTSD. About to Crash, I think, is like bipolar disorder. There's one that's schizophrenia. Another that's depression. Honestly, I don't know. It's great. I could gush about this album for a lot longer than I'm willing to do because I don't want this video to be like hyper fucking long. I don't know. It's just amazing. This is an album that you should absolutely listen to. Anything in S and A are like, S is a must listen. This is like if you're already into prog, then listen. Oh man, okay. I like sucking off Dream Theater. I'm sorry. This is going to be the most controversial choice. I'm gonna get crucified for this. This album's just okay. Same with Falling in Infinity. It's just a mid album. Train of Thought. It's got some great songs. This fucking. I mean, Honor Thy Father is like one of the angriest songs I've ever heard. It's fucking amazing. As I Am is a very good opening. This Dying Soul is, chapter 2 in the 12-step suite. Really, really good. Some nice references back to The Mirror, which it also harkens back to Scenes from a Memory. It's a very good track, but like the rest of the songs really didn't stick with me. especially not Endless Sacrifice, which I believe, if I'm even thinking of the right one, if I'm even thinking of the right song, starts as this like really, really nice kind of like groovy, almost ballad sort of, and then goes into like this really self-indulgent, the like a modern prog metal band's like hyper self-indulgent section that goes on for way too long. And then like only in the last 3 minutes does it go back to the part that I really enjoyed. So I think it's definitely a little bloated. Um, this album was a product, like their choice for this album was like, okay, we're gonna make an album that's like entirely heavy, you know, like this is gonna be our hardest hitting album. And I mean, if you enjoy that, if you enjoy what they did here, like more power to you. I think it's like a very mid kind of a very they pulled it off in a very mid way, I guess. And of course, because this is Dream Theater, and no low point can ever stay for very long. Followed by instant S tier, my fucking favorite album. This is my absolute favorite Dream Theater album. Maybe, probably one of my favorites of all time, Octavarium. This, the concept of this one, I could not even begin to explain to you. Fucking Christ. Um, where do I even begin? It's like 8 and 5. Like, the notes on a piano, like the white keys and like the black keys, like 8 white, 5 black. I don't know. I just know it sounds really good. You have it opens with the Root of All Evil, which is number 3 of the 12-step suite. Also a great song. Like my second is it my second favorite? Third favorite. We'll go with third favorite. I don't know, man. That song is just great. It's like a more condensed version of This Dying Soul. I think it's better for it. It's heavier in a way that I actually enjoy. The only low points of Octavarium, and these are only low points when you're not listening to it as a whole album. The answer lies within. I'm not really a fan of, and I Walk Beside You is probably one of my least favorite songs from them. But I mean, whatever, man. You can't really complain when they've got These Walls, Panic Attack, Panic Attack. If there's like one song to introduce somebody to Dream Theater, you have them listen to Panic Attack. Never Enough is one of these visceral, angry songs that I really, really like. Sacrifice Sons is about 9/11, all stuff. It's very good. One of the first, not one of the first, but one of the best James Labrie pen tracks. And how the fuck could I get by a ranking like this without even talking about the title track? Fucking Octavarium, bro. The song is 24 minutes long, exactly 24 minutes. And I would say it's their best. Like, absolute best. It all loops into each other. It contains motifs from every single previous song in the album. Oh my god, dude. Where the fuck do I even begin with an album like Octavarium? I love it. Absolutely fucking adore that shit. Octavarium is, of course, followed by our first B tier. I was going to put this in C. I was going to put it in C. But before, I was at least a couple days ago. I've been thinking about this album a lot. It's pretty solid. There's like, I'm trying to remember the name. I probably should have had, I should have had like notes. The only song that I really didn't like on this album was The Ministry of Lost Souls. It's okay, you know. I mean, In the Presence of Enemies, Part 1 and Part 2. I do kind of wish they were put together rather than kind of split up like Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamond, you know. But it's still really fucking good. I still don't know what that song's about. I think it's about like a manga that Petrucci read. So I still don't get it. But I mean, whatever. Repentance, the fourth song in the 12-step suite, Very sad. This is a significantly slower, more melancholy song, and it has and appearances from a shit ton of guest vocalists. John Anderson from Yes is on there. The lead singer for Opeth is there. They got fucking Corey Taylor on there, I think. Yeah, no, they did. They got Corey Taylor. There's Neil Morris. David Ellison hasn't really aged well, but we're not gonna focus on that. Stephen Wilson, Steve Hogarth, the lead singer for Pain of Salvation, which is a fucking insane band. I should make a ranking on that someday. Oh, dude. Yeah, very solid album. Again, my favorite's probably the President's Duology. But like Dark Eternal Night, Forsaken, really good. Prophets of War, also there, I guess. I don't really remember that one. It's James LaBrie penned. No. Followed by our next A tier. Also a bit controversial. I really fucking like Black Clouds and Silver Linings. This one gets a lot of flack. Some people say it's bloated because of a lot of it is epics. I don't care. I think they all, like, musically, they all sound really good. A Nightmare to Remember, fucking awesome. The Best of Times is one of their, like, the Best of Times is one of their saddest songs, like, ever. I also really enjoy Wither. People get on Wither a lot because it's about writer's block, and it's sung in such like a sad tone, but it's literally just about writer's block. But I think that's funny. And of course, it is the final song on the 12-step suite. Might be like my second favorite. The Shattered Fortress. It has the motifs, parts from every other subsequent song, and it ends in like probably my favorite way out of any Dream Theater song. It's so fucking cool. It's got a bunch of lyrical motifs too, because like James LaBrie is like singing parts. It's like, oh shit, I know that. That's from the other song. What the fuck? It's fucking great, dude. I just really love this album. Very controversial. Very controversial take, I guess. Um, well, okay. Before we move on, we are gonna have to talk about the Count of Tuscany. Musically, that is a very good song. It's a very catchy chorus, at least in my opinion. I like it. That the song is that one reason why this is not an S tier though. Those lyrics, dude. Those fucking lyrics are so bad that it's holding it back. The historian! Oh, fucking good. All the finest wines, guys. All the finest wines. They get better with age. Remember, guys. Oh, man. Now, if anything, the book definition of controversial. Oh, boy. The Mangini era. So after the release of Silver Linings, Mike Portnoy, like the principal songwriter besides John Petrucci, leaves the band. I think he initially wanted to take a break, but it just ended up being him like going. And so, what do you replace him? Besides with like how are you gonna replace him? Besides with like the most technical drummer on earth, fucking Mike Mangini. Same first name. That's because they're the same person. Ha ha ha. But so I was okay, but anyways, now we've got the first album, A Dramatic Turn of Events, the first album of the Mangini era. I was struggling where to put this. If I was gonna do A or S, I'm gonna go with A. I'm going to go with A. It feels like a spiritual like sequel to Scenes from a Memory and Images and Words almost. Some people say it's almost too like Images and Words, and that's fair. It does follow kind of the same motifs. The protection, what the fuck? No, the production is very ethereal, very similar, I guess, but in a much more intentional way. My only problem is Mangini's drums, like for his first appearance, could be a bit louder. But I mean, On the Backs of Angels, one of my favorite Dream Theater album openers. Bridges in the Sky, Lost Not Forgotten, some very very solid songs. Same with Outcry and Far From Heaven. Breaking All Illusions is the big one. I fucking love Breaking All Illusions. That is a great song. I don't know like what more there is to say. about this album because it's very solid. There's not much. There's not like some very hyper special qualities that I can say that really brings it up to an S tier. It's just a very solid album overall. And second B tier. I was scared. I was scared with self-titled because I was listening to this. I was like, oh, this is gonna be really mid. I see everyone that I say talk about this album is like, oh, this is so mid. This is the most average album ever. And maybe it is, and I'm just like mindlessly consuming all media I come across. But like, this is really fucking good for average, dude. The songs, ironically, on average in this album, a lot shorter, more concise than what you're gonna get from Dream Theater. um, Now you see songs like "False Awakening Suite" is also a very good way to open an album. "The Enemy Inside," probably my favorite track off of the album. Enigma Machine, Crazy, one of their trademark bonkers instrumentals, I think is very good. Behind the Veil, very dark. Meaning that song has a very dark background. I love it though. Along for the Ride is like the ballad of the album. Illumination Theory. I'm not sure how I feel about Illumination Theory. It's one of their epics. It's 22 minutes long. Well, 19. Well, it's 19 minutes and then 30 seconds into a bit of a, classic John Petrucci wanky guitar solo. It's also like a keyboard duet. Speaking of keyboards, we're gonna go on a tangent. Keyboards have not been better. Have not been better. No, I'm saying that wrong. Keyboards have been almost at their best in the Mangini era, like especially on fucking this album. They're so good. They're so fucking good. Jordan Rudess, actual Greek god. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, back to the self-titled Illumination Theory. They have some of Labree's craziest vocals, like, in years. He hit some high notes on that song. But I'm still not quite sure how I feel about that song, and I guess about the album overall. So we're gonna stay in a relatively safe B tier. Now here we go. Oh man. Uh the astonishing. So this is completely different from any other album they've ever released. Um Only similarity could really be like Scenes from a Memory, because that's like also a story driven concept album. But this is in like an entirely different light, This, like, God, man. The Astonishing is they're easily the most ambitious thing Dream Theater's ever done. It is a like 30, 40 something track double album, over 2 hours long, telling like one very in-depth story. Definitely based off of 2112 by Rush. I think it's pulled off incredibly well done. But the thing is, I think you have to treat this album as if it's one massive song, like an Arian. You guys know Arian, right? I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have to be familiar. They do shit. They do shit like The Astonishing all the time. Only like their big thing over The Astonishing is they have a shit ton of guest vocalists, including James Labrie on The Human Equation. That's a very good album. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Um, it's just I think it's a great album. Does what it's set out to do. It gets me invested in the story, and then it's pulling motifs, especially later from songs earlier. It's it is just very high quality in my opinion. Give me a second. Oh yeah, I think this is a very well done album. You have to like understand that like this is not trying to do what any of these albums are doing. This is like very deliberately a very different experience, and I don't and obvi- a lot of people hate this album. I do think a lot of the time that falls under like, oh, it's different. That means it's not good. But also speaking of different in a good way, um, another A tier inclusion, Distance Over Time. I this album is like, actually, hold on. Oh, I'm feeling a little devious today, my friends. Distance Over Time is fucking excellent as an album. That's probably controversial, but I love it. It's the songs are shorter. None of them are over 10 minutes, which is really weird for Dream Theater. But I think it pays off. It manages to like condense their progressive sound without really losing any of it. And it works well, insanely well. Barstool Warrior, amazing song. S2N, fucking Room 137, all incredible songs. And then to me, they're the like big standouts. At Wit's End, which is just awesome. Also about an incredibly like dark subject, but fucking awesome. Pale Blue Dot, best, one of their best album closers. I'm a huge fucking fan of Pale Blue Dot. And yeah, that's that's my Dream Theater ranking. You can crucify me. You can injure me, physically injure me. That's fine. I will come to your house with big wrench, and upon your brain it will go. Thank you for watching. If you like this, like the video, subscribe, share it to your buds who also like bad music. I'm fucking around. I'm fucking around. You know I'm fucking around. Oh yeah, that's it for this 30 minutes of me jerking off Dream Theater. Toodles.